Hi, good morning. It's Barbara Rourke. We're putting the WCFA spotlight this morning on Eugene DeGeorge of Summit, New Jersey. Is that right?
Actually, I come from Belleville, New Jersey originally. That's where I was. That's my hometown. But the last many years I was up in Hackettstown, New Jersey.
Okay. And
And now been down in here in Cape May for the last 10 years.
this is about the third time you come to visit us to talk about a new book that you
Yeah.
have out. We talked to you a couple years ago about waiting for the train.
Yeah, and before
And
that, it was Until Tomorrow. That was the
right.
first one.
You talked about work life and so on, and love life. This time you have something called Sunrise Moonset. It's more like going through the whole of life.
Yeah,
In
which
fact,
is
why don't you start? Eugene DeGeorge, here he is, a local New Jersey poet.
Thanks a lot for the introduction, Barbara. Great to be back talking with you. And big thank you to 101.5 for doing these interviews with me. I appreciate it. Yes, so Sunrise Moonset, the title itself is exactly that. Sunrise Moonset. It's an entire day. Sunrise is the moon sets. And it does start out from the beginning of a life. And it's sort of without specifically mention it as you travel through, you're dealing with poems at different points in a person's life. So in order to start out, I always like to do this because this is what the publisher wrote on the back of the book. So
Okay.
it isn't what I said, but it says Sunrise Moonset is a captivating poetic journey that delves into raw emotions, love, loss, betrayal, and loneliness. Each poem is a unique exploration of the human spirit. It's sort of like, it's not just a reading, it's an emotional voyage. And I think that's sort of sums it up. And my comment, just because I know we only have a certain amount of time here, it says, in my first two books, Until Tomorrow and Waiting for the Train, I delved into the theme of individual relation to themselves and others and to the world around them. In this book, I deal with a situation which we all can relate, and that's the duality of life and existence. We sometimes refer to this duality in familiar ways: head versus heart, real versus ideal, fantasy, reality, yin and yang. I try to bring that out in this book. The way I try to do it is by juxtaposing poems. Sometimes it's all in one poem. Sometimes it
Mm-hmm.
might be a group of poems. Uh, so in order to get into that, I think the first two poems really set the tone. The difference between this book and the others is these poems are a little bit longer, so we may not be able to read as much.
I like that first one, up, down, and all around. Was that the
Yeah,
one you were going to read? Okay,
that's
good.
the
Yeah.
first one. Okay. Up, down, and all around. The child opened the front door. Anxiously, he entered the world. He walked down the steps cautiously, his eyes keenly focused on his feet, making sure of his balance and safety. He did not notice the flowers or the green softness of the grass or the warmth of the noonday sun. Each step was measured with concern, ready to make a quick return. Then he heard a soft noise begin. It grew louder without and within. Slowly it blossomed into a loud roar. Of its location he could not be sure. Inquisitiveness overcame fear. He looked up to see a silver plane. Astonished, he followed its path as it raced across the sky, marveling at how high up it flew, not wondering how or why. Overwhelmed, so as you have to picture this, he's looking out and all of a sudden he falls backwards. He fell back to earth. So he's gone up and now he's back to earth. He stared at the endless sky. He felt he felt the softness of the grass. He turned to see the blooming flowers. He felt the warmth of the sun. He laid back, absorbing it all, his heart and mind filled with wonder. He's not aware of everything. He's scared. Then he hears the plane. He sees the plane up in the sky. Wow. And he's looking up. And actually, if you can imagine, he's looking up and actually, as that happens, falls back and lands on the. Now he's suddenly aware of everything.
Right.
Now
That's
this is where the duality comes in. Imagine the same, tinsel and trauma. It was Christmas, a magical time, a time when a young child saw the world as limitless and loving. The young boy stood in the family living room. Next to him stood the family Christmas tree, all lit up with lights and tinsel and sparkling ornaments. A joyful warmth spread throughout his body. Then a curious desire filled his mind. He took a light in his hand and slowly unscrewed the bulb. What made the light go on? Cautiously, he inserted his finger into the socket. Jolt! The electric charge ran through his body. Instantly, he knew he had done something very wrong. To correct his mistake, he quickly reinserted the bulb. Still feeling the sting of the electricity, feeling betrayed, he turned and quickly walked away. So now we went from this suddenly becoming the world and everything is that, and all of a sudden now the Christmas tree tinsel, and he thinks, wow, everything's great. And then he suddenly gets curious. Reality creeps in. He says, what's making this go? And all of a sudden, boom! He suddenly realizes that behind this beautiful Christmas tree, there's something ominous here and something not
I like those because
instinctively.
they were all just the kid. The kid is
Yeah,
thinking thoughts to himself, but then the Robin and the worm, we have the mother coming in.
yeah. That's sort of it was the same thing because now we have the adult's perception, and now we have a third party coming. Mother stood by the kitchen window, watching the new life spring and bloom outside, singing birds, flowers in bloom, trees gone green. Oh, look, she exclaimed. Her two children, surprised, answered, what? Look at the robin building its new nest. Everyone stared at the window to see. Oh, how sweet, she said. It's making its bed. Is it for both of them? The children asked. Most definitely, the mother answered. Just then the robin flew away in haste. It's probably going to get more straw. Can we watch? The children asked in earnest. Yes, it's new life coming into the world. It's the yearly cycle. You should learn this. They watched as the robin pecked at the ground. Then it quickly flew back to its new nest. In its mouth, it held a struggling worm. They watched transfixed as the robin ate it. Oh, that's disgusting. Where did the worm go? Okay, that's enough for now, the mother cried. She instinctively banged at the window. The children turned as the robin flew off. The mother quickly closed the kitchen blinds. So now we have the adult who knows what's going on, and now she's got a dual thing here. She's saying, "Oh, look at again duality." She's saying, "Oh, look at new life," but
That's
with
right.
new life comes the death of something. In order for the robin to live and for the birds to live, the worm has to die, and she doesn't want
Right.
them to know that. And so again, the
Acknowledge that.
duality.
It's a question, right? So,
Yeah,
do you want to jump ahead a little bit?
that was sort of dealing with young youth.
Mm-hmm.
We also had these two next poems, which again juxtapose. Now we're dealing with the, the question of love, and same
Mm-hmm.
thing. We're still dealing with a young kid now, and I thought this was a cute poem. It says, Judy is what I called her, so sweet and pretty. Into my life she came, second grade. I wanted her to be my girlfriend, so I told my friend. He laughed. I followed her with my adoring eyes. Everything she did, I noticed. She made me feel so strange inside. Sometimes my feelings were hard to hide. So innocent a love, so quick to come and go. My first love, I loved her so. Isn't that sweet?
Yes.
Now, again, now we're moving ahead.
Mm-hmm.
A summer love, the best time for love. The sun is warm, the moon shines above. I met her on a busy beach. She was willing and within my reach. Amid the swaying waves and sand, I smiled as she held my hand. We talked for hours. She became more than a friend, and I hoped that the time would never end. What a day, what a night, the best I ever had in my life. Again, this is young love, so we're not talking anything sexual here. Time moved quickly. My heart began to burn, and I vowed to her I would return. Return I did to the sea and soft sand, heart pounding with the intent to start up again. She looked at me with a curious stare, then laughed in turn as if I'd never been there.
Oh well,
You
that's
know? So now we got from this, and now again, uh-oh.
all
So
right.
part of the reason I did that is because I joked and I said when I was reading this book, I says, when you read this, I want people to have agita. I want them to suddenly be settling down and saying, oh, isn't that so? And then the next thing, boom,
Right.
get hit
Right.
with the
You're
opposite. Because that's what the theme is, the duality. So go ahead
right.
now. You had a poem you wanted me to read.
Well, let's see. Daffodils, roses, and daffodils. This is progressing forward to adulthood, and
Yes,
they're probably in a relationship, whether it's marriage or not. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter. I thought it was an interesting
I liked it.
conversation.
I liked it. Again, this is a
Yeah.
conversation. And
Hmm.
again, you'll notice everything is in couplets. So each line
Yes.
is described. One is the guy, one is the woman.
Okay.
Okay? And I'll explain because as I go down through this, then I'm going to explain because what's going on here is interesting. Like you said, roses and daffodils.
It
I
starts with
don't
the
want to,
man.
I
It's
think it
starts with
starts with the man. You have to kind of like really, again,
okay.
I don't want to make it too easy for everybody.
Okay. Go ahead.
I don't understand. What? What don't you understand? Us. What happened to us? Why? What happened to us? Why? Why you do the things you do? Why do I do the things I do? And she's being a little, whatever. That is what I'm asking. Are you asking why or what? I'm asking both. Why? Why? Maybe they're both the same. Why? What do you mean? Maybe why and what are the same thing. Again, this is typical, like everybody's trying to
A
claim
convers
footsie.
an argument.
Somebody's trying to say what they're really saying. So they're
Okay.
whatever you mean. Whatever is another thing. Then explain why, what, or whatever. You don't know the explanation? Would I be asking you if I did? No, if you did, you would not be asked. Then make the explanation clear. The explanation is simple. Well, tell me, I need to know. Need or want? Which is it? Again, we're playing games. Both, either. Tell me. I like daffodils now. Daffodils? What? You still bring me roses. So then I'll bring you daffodils. No, that won't do. Not anymore. Why? Why? I'm growing daffodils now. Where? How? I have the seeds. I carry them with me. Hang on to that line. In your handbag? Yes, in my handbag. I never looked there, so how would I know? Everyone has a secure place. Roses won't do anymore? No. Rose and daffodil seeds can't be mixed. So where does that leave us? I don't know, but I'm growing daffodils now. There's a
Yeah, there's no
subtle
real explanation except the change from what she likes.
roses and daffodils. Well, you see, what she's saying is you were once the rose, but now I like daffodils. And there is a underlying thing here where I says, I'm growing daffodils now. And he says, where? How? And she says, I have the seeds. I carry them with me. That is a very sexual image. She's had an affair and she has somebody else's seeds inside of her now, but
Uh-oh.
growing daffodils rather than roses. You
And
get
don't
it?
daffodils come with bulbs?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But I just wanted to do it like that. She has She's, I'm growing daffodils now. I have the seeds in me. And he says, well, where? And what she's really saying is, yeah, I've had and I have the seed of somebody else
Oh,
inside me.
brother.
I don't have rose
Okay,
seeds.
drama.
And
The drama continues. Okay,
yeah.
there's another poem a few pages later where Facebook. It's the first time we see technology. It's the first time I've seen Facebook in a poem.
Yeah,
Would you
okay.
mind request denied? Question mark.
Request denied. When I see a post put up by you on your Facebook profile, my initial feeling of joy is replaced by one of turmoil. I send you messages. I send you posts. I even send heart replies, but nothing ever comes back to me, always leaving me asking, why? Do I keep on writing or should I keep on sending? Or is it all a waste of time? I sit staring at a lifeless screen and then either block me or reply. Kind of frustrated. Well, do something,
So she's ghosting you.
Yeah, exactly. I should have, but that's exactly what it is. She's being ghosted in a one-sided conversation.
Now you have sonnets and so on. I see there's a sonnet in here. I mean, you have couplets, the rhyming couplets. On page 29, an imperfect
And
love sonnet.
yeah, I wrote actually. Now I'll give you a little background on it. Well, I'll read it and then I'll tell you the background. When we first met, the seed of love was planted. This is a sonnet. I tried to do it: A B A B C D C D
Right,
E F
yeah.
E F D
Mm-hmm.
G, but it's not quite perfect. So that's why I called it an imperfect love sonnet, from a standpoint of poetic meter and all that and rhyme. But
Uh-huh.
anyway, when first we met, the seed of love was planted, though fate would be needed to bring it all to bloom. We sat in the cold and dark and chattered. Then you had to leave all too soon. But I was determined to stay close by, wishing and hoping to the universe above. One by one, the stars filled up the sky, while our friendship bloomed and flowered into love. Through life's challenges pulled us into different paths, and at times the end seemed to be ordained. Together we fought to find a new road to travel and continue on our journey once again. Our love will continue with mirth and will. Our love will last until we are still. And I thought that was pretty. Now, the
Nice, yeah.
background to that is I like sometimes now, I always say, well, every time I write, doesn't mean I'm writing about myself, but actually I wrote that for my wife. I think it was Valentine's Day or something. And I gave it to her. I says, here's your Valentine. That was her Valentine present
That's
because
nice.
it described what happened. We met, we didn't really hit it well. She was going with somebody, and then and I was, and then it took a while for us to get together, but I was hanging in there. And then eventually we got married. And then, like all marriages, we had our problems. Things looked like maybe, not going to work. And then we worked it out. And then it comes to the conclusion. I just thought I'd throw that in as a personal note.
And as a follow-up, do you want to do one of the father-daughter poems?
thing. The first one, it goes to, I'm not going to do the first one because it's about a father and daughter, and the daughter, unless you want me to.
Now, I kind of like, yeah, just for summary, just for time's sake, how about the father and daughter one on page 36?
36. That's the second one because now she's
Yeah.
older. The first one is when she's younger and the daughter's playing games with her father. And just to summarize it, she says, "Oh, I have to go potty," and she says, "Oh, you better go. I have to go to the better use the potty." And she says, "Oh, I don't like it." And he says, "You better not. You got to go learn to use the potty." And then when she comes in, he comes in. She used the potty. She was just joking with him, and she laughed and said, "Aha, I got
Oh,
you."
2-year-old humor, right?
Yeah, but now
2 year.
this is the father and father, and this again, I have these up on my bookcase. This is for my daughter now. It's a daughter and father. Now an older woman. Okay, when you were
Hmm.
born, you pushed my hand away. Even then, you were telling me, "Let me do it my way." But you were young and had to be told, and I wasn't about to give up my father role. As you so slowly grew up, I slowly changed my position, and little by little, I gave you more freedom. But but still I stood by, there I would always be, going from directing father to now being your consigliere. That's a little inside joke
Okay.
because I'm Italian, my daughter's Italian. So that's the remember from The Godfather here, the consigliere,
Okay.
or
All right.
Sopranos, the same thing.
It's
I'm your consigliere. You know, that's where so going from directing father to being now your consigliere. Okay, and this I can say it is all true. As much as I taught, I also learned from you. So we continue our journey with love and pride, always together, always side by side. I thought I wanted to throw that in again. As some cases, like I said, there are some just poems that just stand on their own. I'm not trying to rock the boat too much because you know.
then you kind of get serious near the end. There was one that reminded me of a Bob Dylan song. Now let's see.
Oh, you're seeing that's one of where that's it's funny because one of my mentors, if you want to call it one of my things, if you're talking about the endings, either The Dying Light or Sunrise Moonset, there's definitely a Dylan influence.
There was
Uh,
one where you repeated your lines. Like was like a villain. Now it also reminded me of Dylan Thomas, the one, "The Dying of the Light."
Before we get to those,
How about Tumbleweed? I think this is the one I meant.
this
43.
is, yeah, I don't like to get into commentary, social commentary specifically,
Right.
or political commentary, but I had to write this one because with the way things are in this world now, I just
Hmm.
decided this sort of like
Something has
fits
to be
in.
said, right?
Yeah, and it's tumbleweed. Well, you all know what a tumbleweed is. Tumbleweed is something out in the plains. Those tumbleweeds that kind of the wind blows and it just kind of blows in and blows out, you know.
Hmm.
But I wish I had an answer for me and you. I think uh, grammatically I might be a little off on that, but I was using a little poetic license here
Okay.
for one. I wish I had an answer for me and you. I wish I had an answer, but I'm just passing through. Here it goes. What happens when the innocent become guilty but still think they are innocent? What happens when the truthful become liars but still think they are being truthful? What happens when the peaceful become warlike but still think they are peaceful? I wish I had an answer for me and you. I wish I had an answer, but I'm just passing through. What happens when the intelligent become ignorant but still think they're intelligent? What happens when the caring become indifferent but still think they are caring? What happens when the virtuous become vicious but still think they're virtuous? I wish I had an answer for me and you. I wish I had an answer, but I'm just passing through. What happens when the pious become unholy, but still think they're pious? What happens when the humanists become inhumane, but still think they're humanists? What happens when the righteous become despots, but still think they are righteous? I wish I had an answer for me and you. I wish I had an answer, but I'm just passing through.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the one that reminded me of Dylan.
There you go. That's exactly where it comes from. I said, "Oh, this is my blowing in the wind song." And there's no answer, just like the song says. What's the answer? Well, I don't know. The answer is blowing in the wind.
You wanted to finish up with a couple of the last ones?
I'll do the
Oh,
last one. Maybe the
okay.
dying light. Maybe I could say. Maybe this is actually one of my favorite ones. It's called Never Rest, which is a play on the words. It could be
Okay.
Neverest, like Mount Everest. It
Yes.
also could be never rest. So you have reached the summit. You have planted your personal flag of achievement. You're on the top of the world. Everyone and everything is below you. Heaven is just an arm's length away. but you cannot enter. The gates are still closed to you. Like a condemned Sisyphus, you can only stumble back down the mountain. Again, a little Greek mythology there. Will you achieve as much going down? Will you reach out and see its opportunities? Or will the heights destroy you? Reaching the summit is easy. You only die when you fail its lessons. I used to watch these things about people climbing Mount Everest. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
People usually don't die on the trip up. It's on the way down. And I says, and basically just like
Really?
life, that's why it
Okay.
says never rest. It's a
Mm-hmm.
play on words, Everest or Neverest, but it's never rest. In other words, okay, you did all this
Keep
to
on
achieve
paying
it,
attention.
but when you come down, well, what's left then? You got to add more to it, or else you're just going to die. Your life is going to die because you achieved this greatness, but now it's all gone. And that's like become legend. How many people achieve greatness and then that's it, and then they end up becoming whatever because they never realized that coming down is when you really achieve, not going up. Man, I just thought that was a neat poem.
That's a neat
Okay,
idea. Yeah. Okay. All right.
that's what I
One more, maybe, and that's
Okay,
all we
I
have.
can do the final poem, which is Sunrise Moonset, because this ends up sort of like we started with the young boy. We did all of
Mm-hmm.
these things. There were some things where we got into a little a lot of other stuff about reaching out and going beyond this real world, which is also part of the book. We never got into that. But anyway, here we are back now at the end. The darkness rolled in silently. The moon fell out of sight. The north wind screamed mercilessly, announcing the deepest, darkest night. The rain fell in piercing torrents. The world became undone. And all that was left was me, waiting for dawn to come. In the alley across the street, people mingled all around. Sirens wailed their helpless song. Fires exploded all around. The pendulum surgically sliced time. Tombstones graced the lawn as I sat transfixed, waiting for dawn to come. My mind struggled helplessly. Is life a blessing or an incurable curse? Will the answer make it better or only make it worse? All day long, this restless mind, all night long, this lonely ache. When will the knot become undone as I sit waiting, waiting for dawn to come? How do you bring an end to an endless night when the demons take control and leave everyone in a catatonic fright? Believers and non believers debate all day long, all believing they are right and everyone else is wrong. The sun rises, the moon sets, restless beginnings, restless ends, vanquished minds filled with whys, silent voices filled with sighs. Dreams arise, dreams fall. One by one, I've lost them all. And all that remains is me alone, still waiting, 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 waiting for dawn to come. Kind of like we're getting back into that duality,
Yeah.
waiting for dawn, but here's all of this stuff is going on and I'm here, or the person, not me, is here
That's
waiting for the one to come and waiting for something new to happen or something to break out of this situation.
Let me stop you and ask you, where can people find this book?
Okay, well, everything is available on Amazon, Amazon.com. Put in my name, Eugene DeGeorge. All of my books will come up, this one and the three others. Reaching the Plateau, which is a novella, and then waiting till tomorrow, Waiting for the Train, Sunrise Moonset, which are all poetry books.
Okay.
You can find them there. My daughter also put up a EugeneJDeGeorge.com, which is actually an actual website, or EugeneJDGeorge-author, which is my author site, which is where this interview will be. The other two are up there also. I appreciate it again.
You're welcome.